But you know who's not misstepping? The LSU Tigers in this recruiting class. As yesterday, they had Brian Thomas Jr., and all of a sudden, like we said, the program is rolling. Once again, 6'4", 190 BTJ. Top 5 player in the state. Picks LSU over Bama, over Texas A&M. And here's the deal. Because I don't want to just gloss over that, picking over Alabama, and whatever recruiting guys can hop in and give me whatever context. Well, Alabama already got these great receivers, and A&M was actually closer. I don't care. The point is, LSU just put together number 3 class in the country, and this is the pitch, Musso, that they are having to deal with every single day. I mean, remember the Nick Saban pitch? Let's just play that again to give you an idea. Like really think about this critically. Put yourself in an LSU coach's shoes and understand that you have to fight against this message that Coach Saban is selling kids.
We've been in the national championship game 8 out of the last 11 years. We've been in the playoffs 9 out of the last 11 years. We got more guys drafted than any school in the country. We had 64 guys playing in the league last year. The next school had 41. So we got way more players playing in the league. And everybody's going to tell you in recruiting, don't go to Alabama. You can play at our school before you can play there. They got all these good players there. You won't be able to play. You can play at our place earlier. I think that's the worst stuff that people can tell you. First of all, when they tell you that, they're first of all insulting you. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if you couldn't play here. Number 2, when they say you can play at our place before you can play at Alabama, they're just telling you Alabama's better than them.
I mean that's true. That pitch right there. If everything's about championships, and that's what you're trying to do, everything's about going to the NFL. They have it all, right? That's the pitch that they can put in front of their recruits. LSU this year was having to navigate a 5-5 season in which they made disastrous hires. That's why this class is so impressive, right? Number 3 class in the country, despite the down year, despite the drama, despite the bad press, despite all the bad headlines, still outperformed everybody but Alabama and Ohio State. And look, as I said to start the show, we always talk about campaign promises, right? And when those promises are not kept, we're very vocal about it, and we critique, and rightfully so. You should be critical when they say one thing and then end up doing another. But then you also have to give credit when promises are followed through on. And when Coach O got this LSU job, what did he say? He said that they were going to put up the fences around the state of Louisiana, that this in-state talent, the talent that they really wanted, would no longer be going anywhere. There'd be a top recruiting class in the nation year in and year out. Well, now what? You've been top 5 for 3 years in a row. Maybe this is the best one yet from a ranking standpoint. You get the top 5 players in the state, 8 of the top 15, and really the 8 that you wanted. Did you miss on a single guy that you really went hard for in Louisiana? It'd be a better question for Shea Dixon, but in my mind, you did not. And so despite 5-5, you now have put together one of the best wide receiver classes I have seen, right? I mean, who do you got joining this group now? You're adding Deion Smith, Chris Hilton Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., Jack Besh, Malik Neighbors. All those guys are 4-stars. And they're adding to a group that, is already maybe the most talented group on the team? I think D-line would be a position group that would maybe challenge that moniker, but certainly offensively, I think you think that wide receiver is probably the best group, and you got such young talent. You got Keyshawn Boutte, who obviously came on in a big way. You got Coy Moore. You got Trey Palmer. Jeray Jenkins is coming back, and now you add all of these names. That is a room that will not allow for complacency. If you don't bring it every single day, you're not going to play. That becomes very exciting when you combine it with a quarterback room that is in the same situation. Because of all the guys that you now have that have started and won games at the quarterback position, if you don't bring it every day, you're not going to play. It's that simple. And so when you look at the current era of college football, right, the spread era of college football, and you combine the wide receiver group maybe being the best squad on your team with the quarterback room also being very strong, iron sharpens iron in both situations. And then, as Booger McFarland said earlier in the show, everything goes back to the lines at the end of the day. We all know that, right? Eternal football truths. Not even Pat Mahomes can overcome a battle line. Well, now you have the entire offensive line returning. And more than that, I think you have the opportunity to improve at some positions therein. And so this is an LSU offense. Look, Jake Peets, DJ Mangus, no excuses. You got the talent. Now it's time to take advantage of that talent. And if we're talking about guys to give credit for, if you're talking about coaches to give credit for this BTJ signing, I mean, certainly Kevin Falk deserves credit, but Mickey Joseph. I mean, Jimmy Smith, Jimmy Detail, Tiger Detail said it on Twitter, but Mickey Joseph was integral. And he stayed on Brian Thomas Jr., and he never gave up. He kept pounding, and there you go. You lock up the top 5 players in the state: Mason Smith, Sage Ryan, Chris Hilton, Savion Jones, Brian Thomas Jr. Put the gates up around Louisiana, and Louisiana will reward you. Musso, let's hear from because, like we said, you're going against that Alabama pitch. You're going against an A&M team that was right on the edge of the playoffs last year. Why did Brian Thomas choose LSU?
I feel like LSU's coaching staff has been there for me. I mean, I knew coming in with the new offensive scheme, the one that they had in 2019 when they won the championship. I feel like it'll fit me well, and I feel like I can go in there and compete, maybe get in my freshman year going if I go up there and compete. And I feel like that was the best place for me to be.
So one of the most interesting things about this entire situation is that they put together this number 3 class with extreme turnover on the staff. Here's what Brian Thomas had to say about allowing LSU to, or watching them figure out this hiring process and how it affected his decision.
I wanted to make sure I was making the right decision. Make sure when I went, I mean, there was no changes with the wide receiver coaches or anything. Just making sure that it was the right thing to do.
And then there you go, Mickey Joseph, shout out, getting some love right there. And then how about because it's interesting, he didn't tell anybody where he's committing yesterday. He didn't tell Jalen Cook, his former high school teammate. He didn't tell Coach Joe. He didn't tell anybody before he put that hat on. When did he know that he was going to put the purple hat on?
For a while, I was going back and forth, but I've really been LSU for a month. But for a while, I was going back and forth. But I think LSU was the right place for me.
There you go. LSU, the right place for him to succeed. I agree. I'm biased, whatever. But the LSU wide receiver group looks absolutely fantastic now. And congratulations again to everyone in that organization for putting together a number 3 class in the country. That is that's an incredible accomplishment. And that is a grind that is 24/7, 365, never ends. And LSU's done it great in the Ed Orgeron era of football. All right, closing up hour number 2 when we get back. We got Joel Myers coming up hour number 3 along with some more Pelicans talk, baby. Might get into a little Will Wade and LSU basketball as well. So keep it locked right here on Off the Bench.